Hey, so guess what got in? So if you haven't been following the series, we went from an absolutely blank VMF, creating this map, CP payload Gavle, from start to RC to now officially in the game as of this year's Smissmas. Huge thanks to everybody who's followed along with the series, helped test the map, supported it, everything. Could not have done it without all of you. I greatly appreciate it. But let's get into what has happened with the map since the last update. Let's talk about that a little bit. First, I will say November 13th, I got an email from Eric Smith saying they wanted the map in-game. Of course, we agreed. The map, there's a little bit more polish that we wanted to do, so we kind of got into just grind mode. I had been doing some gameplay changes in the months before the email, trying some new things out, experimenting with routes. There were some things that I wanted to fix up that I did kind of last second. We tested it a ton before the email came out, but there was some more I wanted to test. We had a lot of assets that we wanted to change over. The visual design of the map wasn't quite where we wanted. So we put in a lot of work. I think the 2.5 weeks after the email came out, I put it a little over 100 hours into the map, just myself, and then plus we had our entire asset team. Pear was working on top of his other job that he was kind of in crunch time on. We put a lot of time into it, but we were very happy with where the map is now, so let's go over some of it. First, we did like a big texture pass. We got this new snowy stone rock that I'm really happy with. We cleaned things up. We got a little bit of new texture on the goat itself. Some new assets that were in the works. Let's see where I can find... Where's the little goat? Where's a goat? Where's a goat? We got these guys made up for the map. That's something we had planned for quite a while that I'm glad we finally got in. Let's jump in. Let's run around as somebody.
Pyro, hauling here.
So let's run around as Pyro. First, we did overhaul Blue Spawn. We kind of darkened it up a little bit. It was very bright before. We changed the texture palette in here, a little bit more industrial. It seemed almost like a bathhouse before, and we felt we could get away with a little bit more darker look and feel just because of it being a spawn. It's not, gameplay space necessarily. There's a blue version of that goat too, by the way. But let's talk about some of the new routes. I actually added this in as an experiment. I felt like blue had to go this way, either down and up, through here and up, or straight in, and they were very exposed. This was kind of like a little staging area to make that push, but I really like the idea of giving blue a way to go through here. And that gives them access to kind of push back out this way. That gives them access to here with the one-way door, which is very exposed. You get like snipers down here and a lot of push this direction. And that also gives them access to the upper area here, kind of some people refer to as the attic. This has always been the main upper area to push A. This is new, which I'll go over here in a second. I was looking for something. I wanted blue to have more options to push, and I also felt like a strong hold, like a sentry hold on this corner was really difficult. So we put this in. The one thing is red now has access to this at the very beginning. You can get a sniper up here, and this is a pretty strong spot to kind of watch this courtyard, watch this window, watch them coming, and then you also have the ability to drop down, with a soldier or any other class. The only issue with that, though, is once you're taken out, you don't actually really have a good way to get up there. For red, it has to go all the way around this way into blue territory, and up. So at the very beginning, they kind of get to hold it, but after that, it's tough for them to take it back, and then it becomes blue territory. The main issue, and the main thing you'll hear about the changes in this version, is that blue was having a little bit too hard of a time taking A and B on stage 1, and I really wanted them to get to stage 2. So we made it easier without kind of overdoing it. At least I tried. I'll capture this real quick here.
Additional time has been awarded.
So we removed some routes. Oh yeah, actually I changed this hold here too. It was kind of awkward. It was like this weird structure here. There was too much of a easy jump between these areas. So we actually made it so now with those crates, blue team, this opens after A is captured. Blue team has the ability to use this as cover and to get to jump this way and take out like a big sentry hold here. I felt like it was a little more fun instead of having this big like 180-degree churn that everybody was fighting around. We got rid of some pathing. There used to be the sewer route down here. We got rid of that. I opened up this permanently now, so before you capture A, you still have this. This is a good way for like spies to kind of sneak through. But it's still very low ground. It's very choky. It's not a real strong place to push. You still want to push this way. But it seems to work. We kind of opened this up a little bit so you can see that there's a path. We're trying to make the back alley more accessible, more useful. And in that, I made this little path here to rotate between it. So you kind of get the main big entrance this way. You get that side, and then you get the alley, which the bricks being down here, the water to land on as you're falling. That's a new custom asset we did. I was worried about sniper sight lines right here. There's still some little like sneaky ones you can get to, but they're not that useful. So we're gonna keep an eye on this. Once it goes in the game fully, I'm obviously recording this ahead of time. I'm gonna see how that goes, and if we need to tweak that, we can. But then we also overhauled this back alley a whole bunch. I tried experimenting with some different routes and stuff like that. I made this a little bit more open, so someone using this route has a place to duck instead of just a narrow little corridor. And then we also made it a little bit more higher ground, so if you're holding over here, you know, it's harder for, like, say, red comes through here, it's harder for them to take that. And if red's holding this, then it's a little bit more of a fight, more interesting fight than it was before. But then it goes way up here, and this is all new. Got a nice little scenic view out this way. Little sniper balcony, kind of overlooking B, but not quite. But the idea is that this is the new push, and I made this so red couldn't as easily push up through here, because we had the issue before of scouts just constantly taking that back alley. It was almost easier for red to take back there than blue, so we've inverted that now. And then it's the same building as before. I did get rid of the lower route here, because I didn't feel like it added enough to the gameplay. And then I also added this little upper area here, which my thoughts behind that was that it's actually giving red and blue equal standing. So red has the high ground here, blue has the high ground here. There's a little bit of a no man's land between in the middle. And then they can kind of fight for that to get to last here. Oh, that's ugly. I'm gonna have to fix that. Whoops. And then let's go back over the new route on this side. Like I said, I felt like blue was having too hard of a time taking the first stage, so we still have the drop down here like it was before, but now we have another little attic area with a one-way door here. And this gives you almost direct access to the point, but you're very exposed, it's loud, it's not the easiest route to take, but it does give you like a little bit of a place to stage. I highly recommend red, like, keep an eye on it close. that seems to be a good idea, but they have a very good line of sight on it. While they're focusing here, though, blue can push the side route, take that, and eventually we get to stage 2. And I think that's the bulk of the changes for stage 1. Yeah, other than the little visual details, we got these little sand bins. We changed some textures of some of the vehicles, and it's got a new 3D skybox. That was some of the big stuff we did. So let's go to stage 2. Oh, I also added this ladder, which makes it a little bit easier for blue to push up here without having to, like, do some weird jump routes. Okay, so now we're on stage 2. Got another little goat boy over here. Not a lot has changed on stage 2. It's a lot of timing tweaks, spawn changes. We did open things up a little bit. There was another support beam here. We pulled that. We did get rid of a few little routes. The name of, or the whole idea behind the changes that we've done was simplifying things. Visually, we got rid of a lot of the visual noise and some of the extra paths that weren't really necessary. There used to be a sewer connector over here. We got rid of that. We're trying to focus blue down this way a little bit more. Going through, this does light arrows now. That was a big request that we had. A lot of people wanted. We like widened up doorways. Like this doorway is a little bit narrower before. We widened that up to make it a little bit easier to get through and a little bit less cramped. I widened this doorway up a lot more, so it felt like before it was you zigzagged over and it felt like everything was like behind it. Like I think it was like the doorway was here. So now widening it up this way, you get that little bit extra more openness. The map was very choky before. We threw a lot at the wall, and I think my kind of MO with mapping is doing a ton of experiments and a lot of big changes and big ideas, and then trimming the fat and narrowing it down from there. Speed up this trip a little bit here. So I did do, coming up, there's a little marker on the ground. I used to have a bonus time, but it didn't really make sense, so instead I increased the initial timer by like 30 seconds, I believe. And then once you get past this point, you actually get, there's a gate here, and there's this door here that opens, and there's a bell that's going to ding. And this opens slowly. This is kind of an option for blue team to cut this corner a little bit easier. And then they also have, when they come out this way, they can come up through here and avoid the main kind of cart path using these routes over here. In which we did do some more experiments with this area. A lot of texture changes. We could never quite figure out exactly what we wanted this this warehouse kind of building to look like, but I think we got it down now. I'm happy with it. This whole back area seems to be like pretty good for blue to take up here and push their way through and kind of slowly take this building. Red gets a real strong defense, either sentry here or sentry up here. Seems to help. Occasionally someone will build a sentry in this back area, and it actually seems to help hold quite as well. Quite well as well. So let's capture again here and go to the next part and then to the finale. Ding. And door opens up here, which allows any blue that's up here taking, they can come out this way now. It allows them to rotate back a little bit. I'm going to still kind of keep an eye on this door. I'm not 100% sure if it's as necessary as I felt like it was before. I almost worry that it allows red to push blue after they capture that point a little bit. So we're going to keep an eye on that for the future. We got more of those little goat boys. We also have, when that capture is accomplished, this gate opens, which allows blue a slightly more direct route to this upper area. I wanted them to have this upper territory. And then also this opens, which was closed before, it was just a one-way drop down. This opens up and allows blue to cut that whole corner out and have a little bit of high ground here. This area, people were kind of calling it the hedge maze, just because of these hedges here. I feel like this visually just turned out really cool. It's a very pretty space. The whole alley in general, I think, turned out really, really cool. Not a ton of fighting between these 2 points. I feel like red has a habit of falling back in my testing. Very rarely does this point get held. At least like through this area. A lot of times it'll be like the card will get up to this corner. And then the fights will happen a little bit more that way. I did open, I like removed this wall here. We removed this structure here. There used to be like a little gate. I kind of wanted to widen up this angled path a little bit more. Make it a more interesting fight. Oh yeah, we also did a lot of simplifying back here. I kind of narrowed things down. Or not narrowed, I widened things up, so I pushed this wall back to kind of give it a more open feeling. Everything was a little bit tight. Oops. I can make my walks. Back here, we simplified. I got rid of the path here because I always felt like it was an awkward jump. So now everything's nice and smooth, and you can just go up here. And then we did do another really big texture pass on all these buildings. We got this new snow material. We got the new snowy stone. We did a lot of changes that I think visually cleaned things up quite a bit. And then there's back here, which hasn't changed much. We're still got our kind of our sniper perch, a way to counter snipe this way. We cleaned up some of these back areas to make them look a little bit better. We got the bar. I feel like every time I work with Pear on a map, he's got to do like a restaurant or a bar, like we did with Overgrown. I got some new signage. That's an Easter egg sign for one of the other people who worked on the map. And then, of course, our drop down here. This little structure I've always thought was really funny because it's goofy. It's a weird shape. But every time I think about getting rid of it, it ends up being so useful for blue team pushing out, like a heavy eating a sandwich right here, ducking covering, using this as like a kind of a way to shoot down on red. And then we also have, of course, the upper area here. Little sniper spot, place to kind of spam down towards red. I think this is an interesting dynamic. It allows blue to put a little bit of pressure on red if they're having like an easy defense. There's a little noise here that I don't remember happening before. We're probably gonna end up finding some texture seams and some odds and ends I gotta fix up. Like I said, so much work went into this map. Beyond the hundreds of hours we put into it before the email came. We still did a lot of work last second trying to clean things up and make it a little bit more visually appealing. But I'm sure there's something going to get missed. If you guys have any feedback for me, I would love to hear it. Just running around now, I'm also noticing things, but honestly, I was getting so burnt out and I had so many little tweaks and changes. It was time to call it and get it sent off to Valve. We were already running a little bit behind after he sent the email out. So I did want to give a huge shout out to Midnight. Midnight helps map testing when we do our map testing nights. And they also will give me feedback. They will run around the map and just find every little issue that they can. And I brought them on like kind of last second, said, hey, can you keep a secret? Map got in game, can you help me find some bugs and issues? And they jumped on right away. Tons and tons and tons of little tiny things and some like clipping issues and minor exploits and stuff like that. I think the map is going to be in pretty good shape. I'd be very surprised if there were any major exploits or bugs in the map. You know, everything should be pretty clip smooth. Everything should be nice. If you remember in the last video, I was talking about the T-junk limit. That was something that I had to get around. A lot of time was spent just fixing that and getting myself, getting the map under the limit. We did a lot of proper plus merges of beams. I turned a lot of beams into displacements. I converted just a lot of brushes into props in general. And we finally got it underneath and was able to get it compilable for Valve. So all that said, I think that's about it. We didn't change a ton other than like some broader visual kind of looks. There's a little bit of a secret. There's some secret spy tech stuff inside of here. You can see a little bit better from red coming out of spawn. And we did the finale. Those props actually all char up and get burnt. You can kind of see them. Like I said, huge thanks to everybody who helped test. Huge thanks to anybody who is willing to give us some more feedback on this. An absolute shout out to Agent Maxwell, Allison, and Boston Austin, as well as all these other fine nerds for supporting me on Patreon. That kind of thing definitely helps me push and keep working on these sort of things. If you want to pick up a map stamp, that helps us as well. So I hope you enjoy the map. I would love to hear any kind of feedback you have. Actionable feedback is always more beneficial than this map sucks, but that's feedback as well. I'll take it. And I hope to see you in-game playing this map. If you'd like to go back in the series, check it out from the very beginning, watch the whole thing. You can see all my thought process through the entire thing. If you have any questions about that, feel free to leave me a comment below. Thanks. So while researching Gavle, I became really fascinated with some of the Swedish traditions, and I had to get my own little goat buddy. So here he is. But naturally, now that he's officially in game, the goat must burn. Maybe. Merry Smissmas, everyone.